Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. It is your favorite duo right here. It is Mental Dimes. We are back, guys. Once again, little hiatus for you guys. Anybody that was a fan of the show before, we love having you guys. We're back on board. We're going to try to get this ship sailing once again. If you remember us from before, I'm Tyler McDonough, aka T-Mac. Hit me up on Twitter at TM_Swish. I've got my co-host, my right-hand man right here, Coach Triplet. You can find him right here on Twitter as well. You see his username, his Twitter handle right here at NG Triplet. Hit us up on all forms of social media. I'll throw my Twitter name out there as well later on. Also got Instagram Live over here. If you follow me on Instagram at TM_Swish. Make sure to hit us up on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Mental Dimes. You can look us up. We're pretty straightforward logo out there. MD, Mental Dimes on Twitter. I'll let Coach Triplet kind of get into all that later on as well. But once again, guys, Mental Dimes, we're back up and running. We're not going to just be focused on college football. We're going to do all sports. We're going to be college football heavy tonight just because it's the day after. We got NFL going on this afternoon. A long day of college, a great day of college football yesterday. But hit us up. We're presented by StreamYard. We're streaming live here on StreamYard. Big thanks to them for making this possible right here. And of course can find us on YouTube. You can find us on iTunes, and you can also on Apple Podcasts. That is, you can also find us on Spotify as well. So there's that. Coach Tripp, how you doing tonight, my man?
Doing great, man. What a fantastic Saturday of college football yesterday. A lot of big games coming up. Really excited to get into it. And you and I had a mutual game and went one way, went your way and not my way. And I'm sure we'll get into that real quick. As far as the X handles go, formerly Twitter, at Mental Dimes CFB for our college football specific. And if you want to hit us up at Mental Dimes, that is the generic or the more general X or formerly Twitter site. So please hit us up there. We have a lot of good information going out. We have different polls. We're asking y'all's opinions, trying to bring you the latest and greatest news. So certainly follow us there. We also, as he said, we have a Facebook page, Mental Dimes as well. So lots to get into. Kind of like to start a little bit. Let's talk about a few of the games of the week. I'm just going to kind of list kind of the games of the week. This is our games of the week segment, and then we'll kind of break them down one by one. And I think probably the biggest game that people were excited going into this Saturday had to have been Colorado, Oregon. But we also had on slate, we had Ole Miss versus Bama. Obviously, you got Lane Kiffin trying to get his first win against his mentor and former head coach Nick Saban. You had FSU and Clemson. What a great game that was. LSU, Arkansas, and of course Notre Dame and Ohio State. So great games on tap right there. I want to start with the Notre Dame Ohio State game because I think that it was ended up being the most compelling game of the weekend, and it came down to basically almost a last play of the game. And Ohio State ended up winning it. Some crazy things happening. Obviously, before the game, since it was at Notre Dame, they brought in former head coach and when they won the national championship, Lou Holtz, he made some comments. Obviously, Ryan Day took offense to that, and he addressed those after the victory. But man, what a fantastic game that was. Physical, very defensive-minded game. Very low-scoring affair. Interestingly enough, too, I'm sure most people know this, the very last play of the game, Ohio State elects to run the ball. They get the touchdown from 1 yard out. And as it turns out, Notre Dame only had 10 players on the field at that time. So obviously that's a disadvantage. And if you look at that last play, you can see right where they ran it. Mm-hmm. On that left offensive side, there was really only two bodies there. And then, of course, a safety backup who wouldn't be able to get into play on time. So, T-Mac, tell me your initial thoughts of that game, how it played out, what you thought going into the game. Do you think it would be that close, and kind of your overall take on that game?
Well, I thought more than anything, Coach Tripp. Obviously, game of the week there, in my opinion. I thought Florida State and Clemson was a fantastic matchup as well. That could have gone up there, maybe A1, 1A, 1B, that kind of thing. But yeah, definitely the game of the week in my opinion up there in South Bend. I think more than anything, the takeaway from this game is I still think Notre Dame, and obviously I know that one hurts a little bit for you. That's your squad right there, but I think Kyle McCord for Ohio State proved to the world that I think this is going to really help him. I think it proved to him that he's not just some guy. I think he might have proved that he's going to get the starting job throughout the rest of the year. I think Ryan Day is going to give him a little bit of a longer leash now. Wasn't his best game, but he got the job done. He went out there in a hostile environment there at Notre Dame and he got the job done. It wasn't the prettiest performance by him, but man, that last drive, he had some gutsy throws.
Boy, he really threaded the needle and made some big time throws during that last drive that really gave them the opportunity to win the game.
I think more than anything though, this game proved that Ohio State is still an elite team. Look, we know what Ohio State is. I mean, they've got probably outside of quarterback, which is, I mean, obviously probably the most important position. It is the most important position in football. Outside of quarterback, they've got the best offense in football. You've got Marvin Harrison Jr., you've got Emeka Ibuka. I mean, you've got Travion Henderson. I mean, you've got a loaded offense there. There for the Buckeyes, and you're missing that quarterback piece. So if Kyle McCord, if this can really get him going, I think more than anything, this is a confidence booster for the Buckeyes. I think if Kyle McCord can get going, that's going to be a huge for that Buckeye squad. For Notre Dame, and I know this one hurts you a little bit, Coach Tripp, I don't think this throws Notre Dame out of the conversation to get in that top four. It obviously doesn't help losing, but I don't think this is a bad loss to him. I think Sam Hartman's still a heck of a quarterback. I still think Notre Dame's got a good chance to get in that top four. They're going to be a little bit better offensively going forward.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think they've got some work to do, obviously, and they've got a tough schedule. They've still got to face USC. They've got to face Clemson. So they got a tough road ahead. But, you're playing with against going in the number 6 team in the country, and certainly you're at home, but you played them much closer than you did last year. So I think that some growing pains, with the decision to not try to run a D lineman on at the end, and these are all things that Marcus Freeman is still learning, and we'll learn from that. But man, hats off to Ohio State, and they really got it done and gutted it out. And Ryan Day kept making the argument afterwards, toughness. Well, they certainly displayed toughness on that final drive, because it would have been very easy for them, particularly when Notre Dame had the ball back with just a few minutes left for them to kind of to fold up, and they didn't. They held, made 2 big plays on 2nd and 3rd down to force that punt, get the ball back, drove the length of the field. So credit to them. What were your thoughts when Ryan Day addressed the? Well, first I'll give you mine, and I'll get your thoughts when he addressed the Lou Holtz thing. Certainly, I understand the idea of sort of a perceived slight from Coach Holtz, who really has college football as far as coaching for a long time.
Oh, looks like we're having a little technical difficulties. Tripp, if you can hear me,
Yes.
why don't you hop? Oh, there you go. You back in here, Tripp?
Yes.
I'm back in here. All right, my bad.
Okay. So anyway, my thought is that while maybe the perceived disrespect that he felt from Coach Holtz, I think that really what he was addressing was larger than that. I think he, whether it's a fair criticism or not, I think he was addressing the criticism that he's faced from the media at large and some other coaches, because he has struggled with some of those games, Michigan, the Alabamas, and I think that now winning right there, he lashed out specifically at Coach Holtz. But I think that it was really I think he felt personally attacked, and I think that he was responding not just to those comments, but comments that he's heard really since last year, getting blown out by Michigan, that kind of thing. So certainly he's entitled to respond. I think that there's no reason he needed to respond. It wasn't a current coach. It was a segment aired an hour before the game, and obviously you bring in a former coach of the team you're going to play who's won a national championship there. Of course he's going to say that his team's going to win. So I think it was more frustration of multiple comments that he directed just at that. But I'd like to get your thoughts on what his comments were.
No, I think the heat of the moment. I think Ryan Day was fired up. He was, he's being passionate about his squad. Who just had he had just gotten to the post game interview, walking off the field. I mean, he was still fired up. Adrenaline was high and everything. So I think I like Ryan Day. I really do. I think Ryan Day's a great coach. I know he gets a lot of scrutiny and whatnot, but I think he's a good coach. I think he probably, I don't want to say handled it wrong, but my opinion, maybe be a little bit more professional in the time, going right off the field. But at the same time, I mean, you can't knock a coach for being passionate about his guys. I mean, he just knocked out. He's got a huge road win, and he felt personally attacked, like you said. I think. I don't know about what Lou Holtz said. I'm not sure if that was the best thing Coach Holtz should have said, but sure. I think he definitely got the Buckeyes fired up for it. I'm a big advocate, or not. I think I'm a firm believer you can poke the bear, and I think he did right there. I think Coach Holtz definitely did that.
Yeah, and I will say one more thing that maybe is lost in some of that is, like, look, this is sort of a kind of a first world problem, right? If you were not an elite coach that people believed could do that job and are on that cusp, they wouldn't be talking about it. They don't talk about coaches make those kind of statements. The coaches that go 6-6, 7-5. So obviously the reason you're under so much scrutiny is because you're such a good coach. You have such a good program, and you're borderline. You're borderline on that elite task. So I agree with you. Maybe it wasn't the smartest thing for Coach Holtz to say, but I think some of those comments, whether it's meant to be or not, are almost a backhanded compliment. Yes, they're trying to maybe insult him, but basically it's almost a compliment, because the only knock is, look, you've got an elite level program. You're knocking on the door of the college championship, and so maybe this will motivate all of them to get over it. But I'm with you. I think he's a heck of a coach, did a heck of a job, and if I'm one of his players or his fan base, I dig that he stood up for them, that kind of thing.
You want to know my claim to fame with Ryan Day?
Love to hear it.
So obviously anybody out there, once again, thanks for all of our Instagram live viewers. We got some out there that are chiming in. Tommy Yelvington just said, "Hey, say what's up, Coach Tripp." So we got some Lano guys in there. We got some people all throughout CFB on here, but so you obviously know I've got a little bit of Columbus ties. That's where I kind of got a little bit of my Buckeye fandom, a little bit, if you might say. I'm still guns up all the time, Red Raiders, baby. But I got a little bit of love for the Buckeyes up there because I got lots of friends that live in Columbus. But did hold up Ryan Day once. Ryan Day hit into me while I was playing the Ohio State golf course one time.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it's the 18th hole at the Ohio State golf course, and I guess he got tired of waiting on T-Mac. He said that group needs to hurry up, so he just hit right into us. He was nice about it. He apologized for hitting into us. He didn't think he could hit it that far, but where does so we'll stay on this topic right here, Coach Tripp. Once again, it's the revamped Mental Dimes edition, episode 1. Of course, T-Mac here with Coach Tripp. Thank you for joining us for Mental Dimes Part 2. We had the show running, last year, and we've got it back going once again. So thanks for everybody that's tuning in here tonight. Coach Tripp, where does this put your Buckeyes? Your Irish, your Fighting Irish? Where are we at with them right now?
Yeah, so the latest poll that I saw had them dropping to, I believe, 13. They're sitting at 4-1. And they obviously, as I mentioned, they've got some tough games coming up. They've got USC, they've got Clemson, who struggling a little bit, but they're still Clemson. They're still very dangerous. I think that if Notre Dame runs the table, wins out, obviously it's going to depend on what happens to everybody in front of them. But
Sure.
It gives them a chance to be in the conversation. Now, does it mean that they will be there? If they win out, absolutely not. We got to see what's going to happen. Obviously, you still got Georgia, Texas, Ohio State that are still right there, undefeated. Then, of course, you got USC. You've got a lot of these teams that could make some noise. So they're going to need some help. But in order for that to happen, they've got to handle their business first. And all they can control is their own destiny. So next week they've got Duke, who's ranked, then Louisville, then USC, Pitt, Clemson, Wake, and then finish up with Stanford. So really you've got 3 more ranked teams plus Clemson. And really, obviously, the most formidable would be USC, which is on October 14th. So, look, they can't worry right now about are they in or are they out of contention already. They've got to worry about this next game coming up. They've got to worry about shoring up some of the things, like you said, getting that offense going. The first half, I think they only had 50 yards rushing or something like that. Much better in the second half, but they've got to fix some things on their own and worry about taking it one game at a time and then letting the chips fall where they may. If at the end they end up running the table and they only have the one loss and they're not in, so be it. They had every opportunity to win this game. So I think they're definitely not necessarily out of it, but they've got some work to do and they're going to need a little bit of help in order to get back in it.
Where are you at with where are you personally at being a fan of Notre Dame and also having obviously a coach's bird-eye view? Where are you at with Sam Hartman? You impressed so far? Or?
Oh yeah, I'm highly impressed. He's in my opinion the best pure quarterback Notre Dame has had in quite some time. I mean he has a command of the offense. He reads defense as well. He threw an interception yesterday. I think was his first of the season. I think he's been a tremendous addition, coming over from Wake Forest. I think he's done a great job. They're nowhere near as good as they are right now without him, because really the difference between, this year and last year is him. They've got some of the running backs back, receivers out. He makes the difference. He gets the ball out of his hand quick. He doesn't get rattled. I mean, he's so experienced. He's been a huge difference maker for the Irish.
I think he's NFL ready. I think he's going to be one of the – I mean, obviously, if you look at, the draft board, Mel Kiper, all that kind of stuff, he's going to be up there when he enters NFL draft. He's going to be a lot of NFL scouts' eyes for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So – all right, so let's talk about a couple more of these games. I don't want to spend all our time on yesterday's games, but there are some really good ones. You mentioned how good the FSU Clemson game was. Boy, that we'll get, and when we get into our players of the week, obviously I've got one player from one of those teams as one of my players of the week. But man, what a fantastic game! It really looked like Clemson was about to maybe revert back to old Clemson and get this upset victory, and then boom, they get the strip sack, scoop and score for a touchdown, ties it up, and then that was kind of it there. But I think we put on Mental Dimes college football X, formerly Twitter page, Jordan Travis, they talked about how good he's been all year, but I think yesterday was really, him kicking down the door saying, hey, I've arrived. I'm the real deal. I thought, what a fantastic game by him. And that was a really exciting game. And man, I felt like just watching, man, Clemson's right there. Oh, Clemson's up. Clemson's going to win this game. Clemson is kind of found themselves. And now, obviously Florida State wins that. They're sitting, 4-0 at number 4. So they're right where they want to be. And boy, what Norvell's got them going in the right direction. Jordan Travis is having a heck of a season. Anything else stand out to you about that game? That was a really exciting game.
Man, I think the thing that showed up that I noticed more than anything is, and I hate to say it because I like Dabo Swinney, I like Clemson, but man, I don't know if we can take it. I don't know if this is this, and I'm questioning myself because I'm not making a statement here, but I'm kind of questioning, is this then this loss right here is just this might be the icing on the cake for Clemson. Is this the end of Clemson? I mean, is this the end? I know they haven't been the same that they've been in, and they're going to still get talent. But I feel like a loss like this, you had a chance. You lost a game at Duke, which Duke's not bad. But they probably, let's be honest, probably should have won that game, even though it was a road game. And then you lose a game like this at home against the fourth best team, the fourth ranked team in college football, and you blow it. I don't want to say blow it, but you had a great opportunity to win that game, but I guess my answer to your question is a question of my own. Is this the end of Clemson for we know it?
Well, I guess how you define the end of them. Look, I think they're still going to
Maybe the end of
be
a dynasty.
competitive. They'll still, compete at a high level. But as far as are they going to be up there where they've been, where they're competing for the number one spot and competing for national championships? Man, I don't think so. I think the problem is, and we know how times have changed, where, man, these players, they can, one, commit and decommit before they go. And then two, once they're there, they can use that portal. So, and once you start going down a little bit of a slide or a perceived slide, I think it's tough to attract and retain those players, because, man, they want to be where they feel like they got a chance to definitely compete for a national championship. And so, a couple of down years hurts. Now, when we say it's at the end of them, they're still going to be competitive. They're still going to be a threat. They're still going to be team that you have to take very seriously and prepare for. And obviously they have a great coach, but I think that the balance has certainly shifted. Now Georgia has taken a place where Clemson, was, and obviously Alabama struggling a little bit, but they're still Alabama. But I think, Clemson has certainly slid or fallen several spots from where they were at their peak a few years ago.
Yeah, I just don't know where I'm at with Clemson. I just don't know if to take them serious or what. I mean, Klubenak can still play. I think Shipley. I mean, that duo right there still can be deadly. They just haven't played up to their. You lose DJ Uiagalelei. You kind of just lost him, and he got lost in the mix of things. And then you throw Klubenak in there, and Klubenak hasn't been bad, but he just. I don't know. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know where we're at with Clemson.
Yeah, I think obviously it remains to be seen, and I think in hindsight, maybe they mishandled the DJ situation, really kind of forcing him in and sticking with him, and maybe he wasn't quite ready. And of course now he seems to be doing well, where he's kind of out of the limelight a little bit, and where he is. So, all right, let's move on to, I think, what was certainly the marquee attraction of the weekend, and this was Colorado at Oregon. Obviously, Colorado, all the buzz with how well they had done, starting 3-0. Obviously, you have Primetime, who is brilliant at marketing and generating buzz and excitement, motivating, not just getting his team excited, but, man, getting you excited to watch college football. And obviously, he kept making the comments, last week against Colorado State, when Colorado State head coach made the comments about, I take my glasses and hat off to talk to adults, and Prime kept talking about they made it personal. Well, then some of the Colorado players went up there and were stomping on the Oregon logo before the game, and again, I think that was something we put out on Twitter, that all of a sudden they made it personal. But really, I think Dan Lanning and stuff, they knew how good their team is, and I think they felt disrespected, not necessarily from Coach Prime or from Colorado, but maybe from the college football world or the media in general, where all the buzz was talking about Colorado, when Oregon was sitting at undefeated as well, and obviously has their own Heisman Trophy winner, and boy, they wanted to make a statement, and they did. Top to bottom, it was a beatdown. I think Coach Prime said an old fashioned butt whooping or something like that. But offensively, Oregon dominated. Oregon's defense dominated. Special teams, they dominated. and you could tell everybody, I think by now, has watched Dan Lanning's pregame speech about they're looking for clicks. We're looking for wins. This game is played on grass, not in Hollywood. The Cinderella season is over, and boy, if that didn't get you pumped up as a college football fan, I don't know what to tell you. But boy, what everybody I think had hyped up in their own minds as a really a showdown was just as Coach Prime said, a butt kicking from start to finish by the Oregon Ducks. And so, and look, I made the point, on Mental Dime's Twitter or X. Look, Colorado is still way ahead of schedule in the rebuilding process. Let's not all of a sudden think that they're this disaster. They're 3-1 after going 1-11 last year. They have generated tons of buzz, excitement, interest. They're getting tons of, Warren Sapp now wants to come be on that coaching staff. They just ran into a juggernaut that was physically a better team and was motivated by a perceived disrespect. And they got beat. But let's not discount anything about the growth Colorado has shown. But let's give all the respect and credit to Oregon, the coaching staff, the football players that showed up and said, look, you guys have been ignoring us, and this is what we're about. And Bo Nix certainly made a case as a Heisman candidate with that performance, and all eyes in Eugene on that game. He, biggest game of the year so far. He had his biggest game. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think you said it perfect with Colorado. I think they are ahead of schedule. They're a fun team to watch. They've definitely got some playmakers on that team. Obviously, both of Prime's kids, and then Travis Hunter. He's a beauty to watch. Out there on the football field. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see him for some time, but they're obviously a fun team to watch. And well, Dan Lanning's not wrong. In some of the things he said. But at the same time, you got to realize that's but to play devil's advocate, that's who Coach Prime is. That's why people want to go play for Colorado. That's why he's got this team, like you said, ahead of schedule right now. That's who Deion Sanders is. He's flashy. That's why he's called Prime Time. He wants the camera on him, and I don't think you can fault the guy for it. And I mean, look at him. I mean, he's Deion Sanders. He's prime time. He's that guy for a reason. He's that dude. But Dan Lanning's not wrong at the same time. But I think you said it perfect. I think this wasn't a good situation for Colorado. This is a good Oregon team this year. Bo Nix is playing motivated. Good year last year. And he's got Oregon playing really well up there right now. This was probably not going to be. I think Colorado might, as bad as the game was, 42-6. I think Colorado might have had a chance. I said have a chance. I'm not going to say they were favoring. If this game had been in Boulder at home in front of a home crowd, this was just not set up well for Deion and company in Colorado. Hostile environment. First Pac-12 game of the year. Deion and Colorado has got all of this. They've got all this publicity. They've almost got a little bit of a target on their back.
Sure.
And Oregon was. I don't think Colorado is a bad team. I don't think they're probably as good as everybody in the media is making them out to be. I do think they're ahead of schedule, like you said. I don't think they were supposed to be 3-1 at this point. I think last week more than anything showed us probably who they really are actually. The game against Colorado State, a team with as much hype and as much talent as Colorado has, to have been lucky to win that game at home against a Colorado State team that's not very good. This was just not a good matchup for Colorado, having to go up in Eugene, a motivated Bo Nix and company, and a target on your back that is. And like I said, don't fault Coach Prime for this. They're going to have a target on their back wherever Coach Prime's at. If he stays at Colorado, wherever his next adventure may be, they're going to have because people want to beat Prime. That's who he is. Right. He's prime time for a reason. He's Deion for a reason, because he is that guy. And Texas, University of Texas has that on their back down here where we're at in the Central Texas region. Everybody wants to beat Texas. Alabama's like that. Everybody wants to beat Nick Saban in Alabama. And I think Dion and Prime, I think Coach Prime's gonna establish himself, and the publicity will cool off a little bit and he might not have as big a target on his back. But right now everybody wants to beat Colorado because they're in the limelight.
Yeah, I have two final points. One, I thought he handled himself in the post-game press conference beautifully. He gave credit to Oregon, and he acknowledged, that they got beat. But I really liked. He still showed such positivity about his team and said, "Look, now's the time to get us because this is as bad as we're going to be. We're all getting better." So he was still optimistic, still pumping up his team. So I thought that was he handled that really well. Showed class, sportsmanship. He did, make the point. Look, I keep receipts on what Coach Lanning said. The other thing, though, I think to be wary of, it doesn't get any easier because next week they have USC. They are at home. USC's coming to Boulder, but that's out of the frying pan into the fire. That's going to be tough. Then they follow that up with Arizona State, which is 1-3. Then they Stanford 1-3, UCLA after that 3-1, and then Oregon State, who's ranked. So they've got a tough schedule, and we'll see really what they're made of, and if they can bounce back. And really, next week's going to be tough for them, but they get beyond that. They've got a couple manageable games after that. So
they did themselves a favor because, like you said, they're probably not supposed to be 3-1 right now. I'm not saying they're a bad team by any means. I think they are a good team, but they won some games. They beat TCU the first game of the year. They've won some games. They beat Nebraska. They've won some games that they probably weren't expected to win.
Absolutely.
So to be 3-1 through 4 games, as bad as this weekend was for them, you got to think this is Colorado is sitting pretty good right now. They're in a good spot right now. And don't expect them to beat USC. Don't expect them to probably beat Oregon State. But if they're 3-1 to this point, you got to think they're going to beat Arizona State. You think they're going to probably beat Stanford. They're going to beat some of these not so great Pac-12 teams. So I don't think if you're Colorado, it's any time to panic right now. I just think maybe if you drink the Kool-Aid a little bit, maybe it's just time to
reassess your expectations.
Ease off of it a little bit. Yeah,
I agree. All right, T-Max. So let's thinking back at this fantastic Saturday. Well, really Thursday, Friday, Saturday games. Let's talk about let's do our segment Players of the Week, and let's we'll go with an offense, a defense, and a special teams Player of the Week. If you want, I'll go ahead and start with my offensive Player of the Week, and then we'll just kind of kick it back and forth.
Go for it.
My offensive Player of the Week was quarterback Cameron Ward from Washington State. 404 yards passing on 28-34 for 4 touchdowns, plus 1 rushing touchdown in a 38-35 victory over Oregon State. So my offensive Player of the Week is Cameron Ward. Who you got?
I like that one right there. That was a good upset win for. I think Washington State probably is getting the love that they deserve. Being ranked. That wasn't going to be an easy win for them going on the road. They're in Pullman. Good win for Washington State against a good Oregon State team. I thought Oregon State would probably still win that game on the road. Good win for them. I'm going to keep it up there in the state of Washington. Really like this guy. I know you're big on him too. The lefty Michael Penix Jr. Obviously, had a great career at Indiana. And he was keeping it going at Washington, right? This Washington, you watch out for them. This is a good Washington football. This is a good Huskies team. And, how about this? I think we're given, we're talking about the Pac-12. Is the Pac-12 a little bit better than it's their last year. They're kind of going out with a bang. They've got some.
They sure are. Washington's sitting at number 7 or 8, depending on which poll you're looking at. Obviously, Utah, Oregon. You've got some firepower, as you said. Washington State, I think, is 16, 16 or 17. So I think they are maybe better than a lot of people, including myself, gave them credit for before the season. And I saw the Washington State coach. He took exception to some comments from Lee Corso, and part of it was the comment of the nobody watch bowl. And he made the point that, man, look, we're a really talented conference, and and he's right. So that was a great point that you just made there, T-Mac. This is a much better conference maybe than most people, including myself, have given them credit for.
So final stat line there for Michael Penix Jr. He throws this guy. He can flat out sling the ball. I mean, over 300 yards. He's thrown for over 300 yards. Who knows how many times in his career? 4 touchdowns, and had themselves a nice little blowout victory there against a team they should have taken care of easily in Cal. But Michael Penix Jr.'s got that Husky squad playing really well, and they're gonna be a force to reckon with. They're gonna be up there with USC, Utah there to see who can claim the conference.
All right, you want to kick off the defensive player of the week?
Sure. I've got a comment here. Good buddy of mine, Kel Brashears, he's hopping in on the Instagram live over here. How about that Sooner defense? I'll give the Sooner defense some love. 6 points, I believe, is all they gave up there at Cincinnati. Nice little welcome to the Big 12 for Cincinnati right there. Get you some Brent Venables defense. My player of the week, however, though, is I'm going to have to give it over to, and I've got it pulled up right here on my laptop. I was doing my research earlier. How about this? Jonah Ellis, a D-end. He's a D-end for Utah, so some more Pac-12 love right there. By the way, did you see the final score for this game in Utah UCLA? 14-7. That is a little weird right there. 14-7 for two pretty good offenses. I know Utah is squeaking out some wins while Cameron Rising still kind of is trying to get back into things. But Jonah Ellis, defensive end, 14-7 victory over UCLA. Had 5 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks against an O-line that's in the top 40 there in college football right there. So that right there is my defensive performance of the week, Jonah Ellis. And also, how about a shout out entirely to the Utah defense? The lowest amount of points, I saw this last night, the lowest amount of points at a ranked team is scored in, forgive me for not knowing, a long time I know that is. UCLA, a ranked team, only scoring 7 points. Utah's defense, shout out to them right there. Jonah Ellis, defensive end for the Utah Utes. He's my defensive player of the week.
All right, that's a good one. I'm going to go with Florida State University linebacker Kalen DeLoach. He had the sack and then the wherewithal to pick up the fumble on Klubnik and run it for basically 60 yards. I think it was 58, 59 yards. FSU was down 17-24 at the time, and it looked like Clemson was driving maybe to kind of put it away. And that touchdown tied the game. And of course, then they win it in overtime. 31-24. But I mean, watching that play live, I mean, it was just such a brutal, within the rules. I mean, just a ferocious hit. Klubnik never saw it coming. Totally changed the momentum and complexion of that game. And Florida State, ends up winning it. So my defensive player of the week is Kalen DeLoach from Florida State University.
All right. That was definitely I mean, like you said, I mean, that probably won Florida State the game and might have saved their season right there. I mean, Clemson was driving there, and that block in return, or that scoop for a touchdown there was huge for them.
Absolutely. All right, so I'll go special teams, and I don't know if we have the same one here or not, but I'm going to go Casey Rogers from Oregon. Oregon ran a fake punt from their own 17-yard line. And the up back gets it and rumbles and bumbles and gets that first down. And that really, I think, was I think Oregon was going to win anyway. They were dominant, but that I think really kind of broke the spirit, broke the will of Colorado. Here they're setting up for a punt return thinking, okay, we're going to get the ball back. We're still in this. We're going to, we get a score, make it a 1-score game. But then, boom, they get that first down deep in their own territory. I mean, I think it shows – one, how aggressive Coach Lanning was going to be, but also the confidence he had in his defense. And look, if we don't get it, we'll hold them. And I really thought that was a phenomenal play and kind of broke the will and spirit maybe of Colorado a little bit.
Yeah, that was definitely one way to go ahead and set the tone for that game right there. That was that was gutsy right off the bat early in that game, but it definitely set the tone for that game. Mine is Coach Tripp. I'm going to head out west for this one, to the Mountain West. I've got Ja'Cory Hawkins, who is a cornerback for the University of Wyoming. It doesn't get any more special than this, what he was able to do late in the fourth quarter. He blocked a field goal, which he ran it back. They ran it back for a touchdown. Ultimately, gave Wyoming the lead, and they ended up winning. So they were able to knock off Appalachian State 22-19. So a very special teams moment for Ja'Cory Hawkins for the University of Wyoming. Gives them the third win of the season. It's the first blocked field goal return for a touchdown in Wyoming history, by the way.
Oh, wow.
So gives the Cowboys their third win of the season, and they were it came at a big time for them as they were able to win 22-19. That one came late in the fourth quarter and gave the Cowboys the win.
Well, congratulations. Yeah, that's a phenomenal play. All right, so kind of keeping up with the theme of great performances. Let's look at season-wide. 4 games in for most teams, except for those few that have 5. Let's talk about the Heisman Trophy watch. Obviously, I'm going to throw out some names, but this isn't all of the ones that may be in that top echelon. But I want to get your thoughts on not just based on yesterday, but now when you look at the totality of their body of work for this season, which is for most of them 4 games. What do you think? Who would you kind of put maybe in those top 2 spots? So here are the names, and feel free to add one if I've forgotten one. We've got Bo Nix from Oregon, Caleb Williams from USC, Michael Penix Jr., Quinn Ewers, Shedeur Sanders, Jordan Travis. Those are kind of who I picked as maybe the kind of the top upper echelon of that group. Most of those, I guess all of those I have are quarterbacks. So one, is there anybody on there that I've left off that you think deserves consideration? And then if so, or if not, if you were putting down some money, who would you say deserves to win it right now?
I still think at this point, and yes, to answer your question, I have put down some money on that. I've got a decent amount on Caleb Williams, so I am rooting for Caleb Williams to win the Heisman. But at this point, bias aside, my bank account, I do think Caleb Williams is probably still in that number 1 spot. I mean, the guy has been phenomenal this year. I mean, it's too easy for him. He's already thrown for 1,200 yards, 15 touchdowns. He hasn't thrown a pick this year. And, USC's just rolling everybody right now. They're a little trouble. I thought they'd blow out Arizona State a little bit more. But, Caleb Williams, let's see, he's thrown for 322, 281, 319, 278 there in that first game of the year. So he's slinging it around. USC hadn't played anybody yet that's really been too concerning for them. But Caleb Williams right now, I think anybody, if you ask anybody, obviously coming into the year, Caleb Williams was going to be the Heisman front runner. But he hasn't done anything yet to screw it up. I like Caleb Williams. I think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback. But right now he's just making it look easy. I think he's in charge out in front of things. I'll tell you what, I think right now probably Bo Nix is probably second. But my guy Michael Penix Jr. Made a case. I think has made a. I mean, the guy can just flat out, if he keeps throwing and having these 300-yard games, I mean, it's going to be hard to not have Michael Penix Jr. right there in the mix. But I think the committee, when you come to the Heisman, they don't always look at team performance, or excuse me, they kind of look at team performance a little bit, which is unfortunate. I think past winners like Robert Griffin III and Johnny Manziel maybe got a pass for team performance when they won the Heisman. RG3 won it when their team wasn't great. Manziel's team wasn't in an opportunity to win the national championship at all. But
yeah, what helped him, I think, didn't he? He beat Alabama that year.
Yeah, he beat Bama. They were rolling. They had a late loss in the year. I can't remember it. And they ended up getting stuck in the Cotton Bowl that year, which was still obviously a great bowl game. But that's what hurt Johnny. But I think right now, if Michael Penix Jr. and Washington keep winning, I think him and Bo Nix are going to be duking it out for that number 2 spot right now.
Okay. Well, first of all, let's with Caleb Williams, not throwing an interception. Let's let's keep our fingers crossed that he's saving some of those up for October 14th at Notre Dame. Maybe he'll throw a bunch of them then.
You can do that just as long as it doesn't hurt his Heisman chances.
Listen, I'm with you. I think obviously him coming into the season, he had a fantastic last season, definitely deserved it last season, and coming in has shown no signs of slowing down. His performance, he's been outstanding. I would think he is definitely the favorite. I think yesterday Bo Nix definitely took a step closer just because of such a high profile game. But I think it's Caleb Williams is to lose. Your argument about Michael Penix Jr., I agree with. I think what hurts him is not so much. I think it's just that team is just sort of under the radar from the media perspective. And not that they shouldn't be. I'm not saying they should be. I mean, heck, they're undefeated. They're sitting at number 7, but they just don't seem to get a lot of hype. And I think maybe some of the voters probably aren't paying close enough attention.
I bet Coach Tripp, I'm sorry to interrupt. I bet if you ask a lot of casual college football fans, maybe not locked in college football, guys like we are, but if there's probably a lot of people that, like you're saying, don't know about Michael Penix Jr. Yeah.
And so I think that kind of hurts him a little bit, and it shouldn't. But I agree with you that 1, 2, 3 is got to be Williams, Bo Nix, and then Michael Penix Jr. And then we'll see. Obviously Quinn Ewers beating Alabama. If that's such a high-profile team, if they go on and win it all or whatever, certainly I think that improves his stock. But right now, I don't think he's quite there yet.
Yeah, I agree.
So, all right. So we've talked about it. Let's talk about the rankings that just have come out. And so get an idea of what your thoughts are. I'm going to go in the AP poll here, and then we'll look a little bit at the coaches poll. We won't go through it all, but let's see the AP top 25. We'll go top 5 here, see what you think, and then we'll talk about who's knocking on the door. I have Georgia, Michigan, Texas, Ohio State, and Florida State. So anything you would change or order you would change, or anybody you would think doesn't belong in that top 5?
No, I think they've got the top 5 pretty solid right there, and it's funny. It's funny talking to a lot of people after Texas beat Alabama. They were shocked, and they were saying they didn't think they were going to jump up that high. But now that they're there, I don't think they've done anything. They haven't done anything to say to fall or anything. They took care of business against Baylor 38-6. But no, I like the top 5 right there. I thought Ohio State jumping up into that number 4 spot. I thought obviously AP poll doesn't mean anything. That's just the Associated Press giving their rankings, and of course we have to wait until the CFP releases their rankings, which they, I believe, don't do till like week 8 or so. But right now I think it's solid. I thought Florida State probably deserved to fall. They were fortunate. I don't want to say lucky, but fortunate that they won that game. Penn State and Washington, I think, are doing a great job sneaking in there. They've got USC on here at 8, falling 3 spots. I made a quick, mention of that earlier. Only winning by 14 against an Arizona State team that's not very good. Now if like you would like from the famous words of Coach Triplett, drop the hammer on Arizona State. I think they could have, but there was no need to. It was a comfortable victory for them. But I think it's good where it's at. I think Georgia. Georgia just doing their thing. Michigan just kind of doing their thing. They haven't done anything to go up or down. Ohio State made a great case. Ohio State probably wasn't expecting to be in the top 4 from where they started the year at. What'd they go from? Were they 9th? Where were they? So. 6. Okay, my bad. Okay. It was okay. That's 9th was where Notre Dame was. Okay. It was
this last one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like it. I really do.
So if we look over at the coaches poll, they have the same top 5, just a different order. So they have Georgia, Michigan the same, but then they have instead of Texas at number 3, they've put Ohio State at number 3, and then Florida State at 4, Texas is at 5. And what that tells me a little bit is now that we've seen Alabama maybe not be Alabama, that they devalue that win a little bit, and I guess what I'm saying is they think that the Ohio State win over Notre Dame maybe is more impressive than the Texas win over Bama. One Ohio State's was, well, I guess they were both on the road, but I think that's what it means to me is that they thought that the Ohio State win was a little bit better because maybe Notre Dame was a better opponent. Alabama, normally, if you get that win, that's a signature win. But this year, with the struggles at quarterback in Alabama, and they only have the one loss, but maybe since they're not the normal dominant Alabama, they don't quite value it as much as they might have in years past.
I don't think that – I'll disagree with you just a little bit there, Coach. I don't think that necessarily the coaches or, obviously being the coaches poll, it's coming from the coach. I don't think they necessarily devalue the Alabama win. I think just where Texas was, because I believe – were they 9th at the time when they beat Bama? I believe they were 9th when they beat Bama. It's really hard to jump that many spots when teams don't lose. I think, obviously, I don't want to take anything away from Texas. I think it was a great win on the road against Nick Saban and Bama. Bama's not as good as they have been, in my opinion, in years past. They're still trying to figure out, what Jalen Milroe is. But I think that it's just, I think they're probably thinking about it as it's hard to jump that many teams that didn't lose.
Right.
And I think that's where that, because Florida State didn't lose, Ohio State didn't lose, SC didn't lose. But, from them, when Texas made that big jump, it was after the Bama win, they went from 9th to 4th in the AP poll and then 9th to 5th in the coaches poll. I don't want to speak for the coaches. I don't know. That's just what I think that maybe their mindset is. It's hard for them to jump that many spots.
All right, so let's move on. That's a good point you made there. Let's look ahead to Week 5, and I'm just going to throw out a few games and tell me. And then if you want to add one, but I'm going to say if I gave you,
I'm sure my bank account will be involved in a few of these.
No, not that. Well, that'll be the next segment.
Okay.
I'm going to ask for Stone Cold Locks for Week 5, but I'm going to give you. These are some high profile games, and what I want to know is if Coach Tripp could give you 2 tickets to one of these games,
okay,
which game would you pick?
Getting tickets.
All right, so here are your choices: Utah at Oregon State, USC at Colorado, Kansas at Texas. Now, remember, you did put out on Twitter that we wouldn't know how good Texas was until they played Kansas.
we got to wait till their big test at Kansas. That's right.
But Kansas at Texas, LSU at Ole Miss.
Okay.
And this one I find intriguing, not because it necessarily has ramifications from down the road, but I think it's just a compelling game. Clemson 2-2 at 4-0 Syracuse.
Okay.
So, you have a chance to go to any one of those games. Which one are you picking and why? All
right. So, I'm gonna drink the Kool-Aid. I'm going to keep drinking it. I like the USC and Colorado game, man. I still, like I said, I wasn't bashing Colorado earlier. I was just saying what I think everybody else is saying. They're a fun team to watch. They're good. They've got some good players, but they're not maybe just what everybody's thinking they are. But I want to watch them. I would love a ticket to go. And look, you said it's in Boulder, right?
Yep.
So it's in Boulder. Colorado can play at home. I mean, they've proven it. They've also laid a little bit of a goose egg at home, but they've also proved that that's a home crowd. That's a home field advantage. I'd love to be a part of that environment right there. I think Colorado can win this game. Do I think they will? No, but I think college football has got to have one of the most home field advantage. I mean, high school football is the same way, but like college football is probably the sport where you have the most home field advantage. Anything can happen in college football at home. I'd love to be a part of that environment there in Boulder. They're still going to be fired up even after a bad loss. They're still going to be fired up. I think, and I said this earlier, I think had Colorado played Oregon in Boulder, yeah, I think they would have had a chance to win. I really do. I like I said, I don't think they would have, but definitely would have had a chance to. And I'm going to say the same thing. I'm going to double down. I think they've got a chance to beat USC just because it's in Boulder. Had that game been in LA, I'd give them no chance. But the fact that they've got the home crowd behind them, I mean, they're fired up. It's going to be a nationally televised game against a good team. Caleb Williams, Lincoln Riley. The fans are going to get after in that game. Dion's going to have everybody fired up week in and week out, and I'd love to be a part of that environment there in Boulder.
Okay. Well, what you just said, the argument you just made, I think is 100% why Dion is so good for college football.
Yeah.
Because this is a game on paper. If you took Dion out of it, right, and not just Dion, but what Dion has done, you would have no interest in this. And kind of knowing that, look, USC is should win big, but the Dion factor puts eyes on what would otherwise be maybe a less compelling or interesting game. So what he's done, I mean, heck, he did it, last year going undefeated, but now that he's, more in the mainstream with, at Colorado, he's getting eyes on the product, which is why, when Colorado hired him, they said, we don't have the money for him yet, but we're going to get it. And they have. You can look at the reports on that they've signed all these deals to bring in, tremendous amounts of money that will more than pay for his salary. So that's the argument you made is the argument why prime time is so good for college football. He's one of those, you can root. You have people that are rooting for him, people that are rooting against him, people that think that, like I said, they don't like the flash, people that do. But the point is
he's polarizing.
You're watching him whether you want him to win or lose. So it's a great argument. I think if I were going to pick one of those games, I think I would do LSU at Ole Miss. I think it has a chance to be a better competitive game. Also, Lane Kiffin is a coach that I'm really enamored with, just because his transition from young, arrogant coach who did a lot of things wrong to really where I think has found himself, doing it the right way. And then, of course, LSU has Brian Kelly, former Notre Dame. So I kind of have a couple of dogs in the fight. I'd like to see Brian Kelly not win. So I think I would pick that game, but I could not disagree with the idea of that I'm really interested in that USC Colorado game, even though I think it's going to be very lopsided. I'm still going to watch it. I know that. So, all right. So let's tie into this. This is our segment where I can be of no help, but this is T-Mac Stone Cold Locks, and it can be a game, it can be a spread, it can be a parlay. I mean, you're definitely much more the expert on odds and lines, but for anybody who might be wanting to lay a little bit of money down, maybe don't know where to start, what would you recommend for week 5 coming up?
Well, I'll tell you, looking at the top 25, where that's kind of where I like to look at when it comes to betting. You'll like this one right here, Coach Tripp. The first one that really caught my mind was Notre Dame at Duke. Notre Dame 4.5-point favorites. I like that line right there because it's a small spread. 4.5 had it been anything above 6, I would have said stay away from it. I think Notre Dame's going to be fired up. I think Sam Hartman's going to have a better game. Look, Duke is a good team. I'm not ready yet to say, though, that a team like Notre Dame's going to go in on the road and thump down on them. Another lock for me, I think, is you need to really look into this bet right here if you're a betting person. Michigan only 18.5-point favorites at Nebraska. Look, Michigan's going to roll. Nebraska can't score the ball. They're kind of like Minnesota. They're kind of like some of these other teams. They're like Iowa. They can't score the football. Shoot, if Michigan goes in there and scores 20 points, they can cover the spread just like Michigan didn't have to play that good to win. So only 18.5-point favorites there. I know that seems like a lot, but it's a team that really can't score that much in Nebraska right there. I'll tell you another one I really like, Washington, who can really score a lot of points. They're also a big number. Like I said, I don't always recommend betting on big spreads. Washington can flat out score the ball. They just put up 56. They won by 28. They're 18-point favorites at Arizona. Look, Arizona stinks. They're not good. Neither one of the Arizona schools are good. I know that game's down in Tucson. Look, Washington might come up to a slow start, but they're going to get out there and sling the football around. They're not going to. I would be very shocked if they don't cover that one right there. So those are my 3 locks right there. I'll definitely be throwing some money down for sure on the Washington game and the Michigan game. I'll have to do a little bit more research there on Notre Dame. But I love those 3 lines right there. I think those are 3 bets in the top 25 to go look at.
And I'm going to put you on the spot here because so you may not have one because we didn't really talk about it pre-show.
Yeah.
If you had to pick, and it doesn't have to be top 25, but I know that's what you look at. If you had to put some money down on an upset, what would it be?
Ooh, an upset.
And I know it's not fair to
no. I mean, you can say Ole Miss being an upset. I know that might not be the one you're looking for. I mean, it's at home, against a better on paper LSU team. That could definitely happen. LSU didn't perform that well against Arkansas yesterday at home there in Baton Rouge. That could definitely be a game that Ole Miss could go in there and get after at home against an LSU team that struggled to beat an Arkansas team, which I think they're much better. Arkansas is not bad, but I thought LSU had to come back there late in the second half and win that game. That's definitely a game right there that I have my eyes on. Another one is Kentucky, I think, 4-0. I know you got a little bit of love for Kentucky right there.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping it in the SEC. I think Kentucky at home, they're 4-0. Against number 22 of Florida right there. That's definitely an upset to be looking out for as well.
Okay. All right. Appreciate that.
I will say this, just first time looking at the Colorado spread. I know we've talked a lot about Colorado, and anybody out there probably hating us for talking this much about them. I love taking the points with Colorado. I don't think they'll win, but USC 23.5 point favorites on the road. USC just struggled. They definitely didn't cover the spread against Arizona State, only winning by 14. I don't know what it was exactly off the top of my head against. I think it was like 32 or something against Arizona State, only winning by 14. That's going to be a much tougher game for USC, having to go to Colorado, and they're 23-point favorites. I would hammer Colorado plus 23.5 there at home. They're going to be motivated. They're not going to play that bad again. Especially being at home. They're not going to play, they're not going to get wiped that badly like they just did up in Eugene. I think that's another good bet. I'd love to throw that one in there as well.
All right. Sounds good. All right, T-Mac, to wrap this up, I know this has been your segment here. C-Note, college news of the evening, college football, in this case, news of the evening. I don't know if you have anything specific for us, but I'd like to get an idea of any kind of breaking news or interesting news that you have that we could leave with our viewers and listeners before we wrap up.
Well, I definitely have some stuff for the C-Note. One of my most favorite segments that we get to do. Of course, it stands for College News of the Evening. Not have to necessarily be college. And just to point out to all of you listeners out there, Instagram Live, anybody that's going to watch us after we upload this is not just a college football centered show. We're just kind of getting it all on college football right now. That's Coach Tripp's main thing. It's what we're in the bulk of the season right now. We'll talk some NFL. We'll talk some stuff going forward. But the C-Note right here, College News of the Evening right here. Jalen Milroe, obviously, Alabama, kind of, scratching their head a little bit about what's going to go on in the quarterback situation there. Jalen Milroe is no Bryce Young, obviously. He says there's still a work in progress there. They're, still a work in progress. That's Bama. He said his team, though, this past week might have just turned a page. Coach Tripp, with that right there, do you buy that? What are you thinking there?
I think that's Coach Saban.
I'm not buying it.
Yeah, sending a message to his quarterback that you're okay. I'm still with you, but I don't buy it. I don't believe that Nick Saban believes that. I think he knows that maybe that's his best option right now, but that they have not turned a page. He could not have been overly happy with the performance that they had or that performance at the quarterback position. So I'm not buying that.
Next topic to get on and talk about is Washington State. I know you were giving them a little bit of love early on. Big win for them there in Pullman against a very good Oregon State squad. Washington State coach Jake Dickert said afterward. I think that Cam, who he's in reference to Cameron Ward, his quarterback, who I believe he was your offensive player of the week. Mentioned he needs to be mentioned with the best quarterbacks in the country, period. Cam gave his coach a lot of credit in the post game, saying play calls were great. Give a lot of credit to our offensive coordinator and our head coach dialing in the right plays right there. He's giving them a lot of love. So Washington State kind of making a push right there for Cam Ward to be one of the best college quarterbacks in the nation, which I agree with.
Yeah, I think we touched on it earlier, and the reason he's probably not getting the love is just that Washington State, fair or not, is just under the radar.
Yeah.
You mentioned your casual fans maybe aren't familiar with them, and they don't get a lot of media attention. So while I think statistically and obviously a big upset win, he probably does deserve to be in that conversation. But it's going to take, I think, unfortunately and unfairly, basically almost an undefeated season for most people to start to recognize his level of play.
Yeah. And then lastly, Coach Tripp, talk a little bit more about Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman as he in his post-game conference after the loss to Ohio State defended what about having just 10 players on the field. Did you see what his quotes were about not giving him a freebie play?
Yeah, he was worried that by the time they recognize, I guess they have personnel packages that they're worried that if they ran him on, they would get a penalty.
Yeah. Get another chance to reset up and everything else.
Yeah, and they didn't have timeouts. I don't buy that. I think at that point you send them on. This is a chance for an upset victory. And if you get the
on
penalty,
the 1 yard line too.
Yeah, and if you get the penalty, it moves them half a yard closer. It's not that much more, but at least you have, if you look at the defensive alignment, I mean, there's an end and a D tackle almost at the nose guard spot. I mean, there's a huge hole there. So I think that was if that was his reasoning, I think it was it
makes sense.
Yeah. I think he shouldn't have done that. I think he should have, once they realized it, which was a mistake that they didn't have the personnel on there at time. I think at that point you got to send him on and give yourself a chance. Go 11 on 11.
I agree right there. I get what he's saying. It makes sense what he's saying, but at the same time, you got to have a fair fight. You got to get all 11 guys out there on the field.
Yeah, and maybe if you're going up against a team that you are clearly,
if it's not on the 1 yard line, I get it.
Yeah, or if that's
you got to get a stop in that point. You got to get a stop. If he's on the 10, then maybe I get it.
Right, I agree.
But hey guys, that is episode 1 right here of Mental Dimes. We're so glad to be back. We're so glad to be being live here with StreamYard. We're very thankful for them for giving us a platform. Big thanks to everybody on our Instagram Live who's tuned in tonight. We had lots of activity, making lots of comments. So we're going to go ahead and upload it, guys. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Mental Dimes, X, whatever it may be, at Mental Dimes, right there on the screen. Hit us up on our socials. You can hit me up at TM_Swish. You can get Coach Triplet on there at NG Triplet. We're going to be much more active this go around. We're going to get stuff uploaded. We're going to be on YouTube. We're going to be on Facebook, be on Twitter. Just type in Mental Dimes. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts, wherever it may be. But in the meantime, Coach Tripp's got a big game this week. Just got a big win for his squad. My alma mater in high school. Coach Tripp's still the man there in Llano. Get their big first district win against San Antonio Cole. They're 1-0, but they've got the mindset to be 1-0 every week.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody, and we will continue to tweak and improve and upgrade our product. And please give us a like, shout outs to all your friends, and we'll see you next week.
We'll see you guys. Y'all have a good evening.